1 through 10, top scout the stat line catchers. Agustin Ramirez, who was formerly of the New York Yankees, traded to the Miami Marlins. Or I guess if we are in the 25-man that we're drafting in right now, the Florida Marlins. I did like that little switch up for you, Doc. But Ramirez, big time exit velocities is what were reported out of the minor leagues. Yankees were talking about him as possibly being, a generational talent. All of that was seeming to be hype. Was moved 110.6 WRC plus is what Scout the Stat Line has him at peak projection. 324 on base percentage, 23 home runs. Really serviceable player, and I think someone Miami desperately needs. Do you think he can actually make good on those projections?
So underrated, man. It's like as soon as he went from the New York Yankees media hive mind to Miami's garbage heap of batting development, everyone was like, "Oh, who's that? I can't hear you." I'm like, "No, he's still the same guy." Like he didn't, Hey, I'm a little concerned that he went to Miami because I do not like their batting development. That said, he's kind of further along in his development to this point. He's not a finished product, so there's some reason for concern that they might stunt him. That said, his overall numbers on the year: 25 home runs in 126 games. Like that's a lot of power. He's got 30 plus power in that bat. And, in that same amount of games, 126, he had 93 RBIs. Another number that everyone hates. It's another stat. RBI, what are you from the 1870s? I don't know, man. It's like you gotta hit the run. You gotta catch the runs in. There's a certain skill set. When we watch the playoff baseball, there's certain guys, and they show how people do with runners in scoring position or runners on base in general. And there's some guys you feel more confident in. And if I see a guy who keeps mashing guys in, Pujols, at the end of his career, he wasn't the best hitter really, but he seemed to just have a knack for getting guys in. And so it's something to monitor. It's not like I'm saying, oh, he's going to be guaranteed an RBI masher forever, but 93 RBIs in a fairly short season is interesting to me, something to note. His batting average sunk down quite a bit when he went to AAA with the Yankees from 290 to 224. 372 OBP went down to 328, and that it met in the middle in Miami. So again, maybe it's all just psychological. Us kind of concerned about his development. His numbers got better in Miami when he went to AAA at least. So we'll find out how he does this year. I don't think the difference between AA and AAA is that immense. So, and I noticed that I've done some big research on Agustin Ramirez, and I noticed that at every level he goes to, he struggles for a little while. And then the next season or like later that season, he conquers it and becomes a machine. And he's done it repeatedly now. And that's almost more interesting to me than someone who just cruises the whole way. Like we see with Jackson Holiday, we're finding out that, okay, there's some fight because we saw him come back up, crush it after a terrible debut at the major league level. But then he started falling apart again. So we still have to see what his journey's like. We're seeing it happen every step of the way with Agustin Ramirez. So two things. One, that's encouraging long term. Two, watch out. He's probably going to struggle when he gets to the bigs. So meaning there will be multiple buying opportunities for Agustin Ramirez. I had him as a top 10 prospect at one point. Not sure if I can necessarily put him in there now with all this influx of talent. I will find out. I can't imagine knocking him as far as some people like barely have him in their top 100, or maybe I don't know if he's even in a lot of top 50s anymore. He was like the flavor of the week or something. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I had him a little higher than I probably should have. But I still like him. I like the profile. I like the opportunity that he'll get in Florida. And I think to your point, he's going to have a opportunity to drive in runs. Him and De Los Santos, they've clearly, as an organization, decided to go with some guys that have big time power so that they can actually hit it out of the ballpark there. I think that was an interesting organizational approach. They're telling us exactly what they want their lineup to look like and what they want to do. So they clearly believe in him and Santos, whether the fantasy community fully believes it or not. But I did have him ranked a little bit too high. I bought into the Yankees media hype. They're fantastic at spinning a narrative and turning up value.
I think
But
you're
I'm
right about this one. I think they're right, but my issue isn't with that. It's with that they just like threw him by the wayside once he left the organization. I think he actually should be. I don't want to eat my own words here, but he's probably a top 20 prospect.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna hopefully find out this year. I would imagine he makes the major leagues. Maybe not at a camp, but it could be. And kind of like you were saying with Basallo, I think maybe by June for Ramirez.
I think so.